Alright guys, welcome back to Wrench Trench Garage. I'm Walking Mandu, and we're going to go ahead and do this ball joint here. So, without further ado, I'll show you. Now what we have here is the entire shock strut assembly, and basically with this assembly there are coils, and this is a cartridge style shock absorber. And basically this housing has the shock absorber in it, and I'll show you how to do that in another video, but for now basically we're just getting to the ball joint. Now I did take this whole thing apart because I had a broken bolt, as you can see over here. I showed you that in the other video, but it's all tapped and it's done now and it works well. So basically what I'm going to do is just take these little bolts out. By the way, this one I believe was a 17 millimeter, and they're supposed to be both 17 millimeters, but of course the larger one had to be brought out, so I believe it was a 21 millimeter. So that's how that went. But basically you take those two out. Once those two bolts are out, you expose the ball joint right there. So now all I'm going to do is take this pin out, and I'm going to take this nut off, and that nut should be alright. That nut is a 22 millimeter. So 22 millimeter on the nut. Take the string, take the pin out, 22 millimeter on the, and then you can take this off. You probably have to take it off with a hammer, just beat it out of there, and then we'll have to press the ball joint out. So we're going to do that in just a second. I'm going to remove these. Alright guys, with the pin removed, here's the pin. With the pin removed, we're going to remove that 22 millimeter nut. It's easier to do with the impact. Should be easier to do with an impact. Alright, so 20 millimeter removed, the impact, and this piece should come off, but I'm sure it needs a little bit of persuasion. So we're going to take out the BFH. If you don't know what the BFH is, you know it's a big fucking hammer. Alright guys, just to try to get a decent angle on this thing, show you what we got. Basically, we have to knock this thing off with a hammer. So I brought it over to the old bench, hung it over to the side, and we're going to see if we can pop this thing off here. Basically just go side to side until she comes out of there. And there you have it. Comes off. Nice couple of strong hits. And you see, this is all damaged. It needs a new one. It actually worked okay, but sooner or later, that when this thing starts ripping, the grime and dirt starts getting in there, and it starts acting crazy. So yeah. So now we got that out of there. Time to press this thing out. Alright guys, what you see me doing now is just take a little razor blade here, cut all this rubber stuff off of here. That way I can get a good lead on this thing. And then inside, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to use an impact socket to stick on here. Hopefully it doesn't reach the end of it, which it's actually. Alright guys, now before we press this thing out, we have to get rid of this little clip right here. Got this little clip removal tool, and you stick it on here and you press, and it should loosen it up, but this is on there really good. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use my hammer and my chisel, and I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit. I have to vise this a little bit. Don't put this in a vise too much because this metal isn't that tough. You just want enough to hold it, because you don't want to mess this thing up. So there, I got that one broken. We'll break this one. Alright, so it looks like we got that broken loose. Put your clamps in there. Give it a squeeze, and it removes the ring. Once that ring is out, you can go ahead and start pressing. Now, what I did here is I also removed the grease nipple so that I got more room to press it out. So I shouldn't have that. So I shouldn't have too much issue here. So we're gonna put this here, and I'm also using this little rig here, which this is just off of my jack, and somehow it fits right in there for some oddly nice reason. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the cup, the spacer, and everything else all in one shot. Like that. I'm not tightening that vise up too tight. And then the next move is I'm going to use this impact right here. Put it on right there. Give it a little start. Now, what you want to make sure you do now, it should come out. Don't yell at me if it goes messed up, but it should be fine. So let's give this thing a whirl. And you hear the pop, and it's out. And you can undo your rig. And now you have a gaping hole where your ball joint used to be. So with that all out, alright, so what I'm going to do is just clean this out. I'll use just a little bit of brake cleaner. And go over it real quick with a little bit of, this is 220. I ain't going to go too much with it. Just get enough of it out to make it smooth. You don't want to start breaking anything down because you want that thing to hold. So basically, just give it a little rub out here. Get all the crud out of it just to make it smooth. And give it a feel with your finger. It feels nice and smooth right now. And then I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of this liquid wrench right here. Any kind of penetrating fluid is fine. You can use WD-40 or whatever else. So any kind is fine. So after that, got a green pad just to get the crud out of there real good. And then I'm just gonna wipe it out with a little rag, and then we can start pressing in the other bolt. The other ball joint. So now that's in. Give it a feel with the finger. Feels relatively smooth. Little rag. And there you go. You got a nice smooth area to put the new ball joint in. Alright, so what we have here is our new ball joint. And basically I'm just looking for any markings on there that show if it needs to go in a certain direction, and this doesn't have any. So this should go just about any direction you want to put it there. So basically I'm just going to make sure I got everything lined up here where it can press in. And that looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to also take a little bit more liquid wrench here, just to help me get it through a little easier without it binding up. Give it a full press on in. You don't want to leave it soaked, so I'm just gonna kind of wipe it off. I just want a coating on there. I don't want it just, completely lube. I just want a coating. So that can go in here. And basically, it's just the reverse of the process on the rig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to press it through. And what I'm going to do also is use this small cup that fits just over it. But you see there's a little bit sticking out. So I'm going to make an attempt here and just use this cup over here and make sure I don't mess up the threads by bringing it through the little hole on this. So back this all the way out, or as far as I need to. Give it a flush surface. Then the next thing I'm going to do is place the ball joint inside and see if I can't do this. So basically, I'm just making a rig that allows me to do a nice press on here. Now, what I'll probably have to do, because this is a little bit too long, is I'm going to have to find a shorter impact. So give me a second. Alright guys, just to show you the new rig, not the new rig, but to show you the rig that I'm using for now on this messy ass table. Basically what I did was I used my ball joint press. I have a basically like a 30 millimeter socket here, and then that's onto the ball joint, to the housing, to the cup that that allows enough space for it to squeeze through, and on the inside of there you can see that's the end so normally I would just go ahead and use the impact on there and squeeze it through, but I'm kind of leery of that. I want to make sure that I press this thing on nice and even, because I really want to make sure that this thing goes on nice, there's no slipping. And actually I gotta tap it a little bit because it's slightly off kilter. I just want to make sure that this ball joint doesn't hit any edges. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap it until it's perfectly straight on there, so when I do press through, I don't have any issues. So make sure that the threads ain't touching anything. You don't want to booger up the threads. You mess up the threads, you're dead. Alright, so what I want to show you is this actually just pressing in. And I'm going to do this slowly and make sure I don't mess nothing up, because I want it to go in straight. Alright. Basically, you get yourself a big old ratchet. You start cranking away. You see it's starting to slowly go through. And then you know you're done when the bottom of the ball joint gets to the tapered lip. So I'm just going slow. Normally I just impact this thing in, but I don't want to mess nothing up. So actually the other one I did, I wound up putting it in with a hammer, and that's not ideal, but that's what I did, and it worked fine. I'll show them both to you when I'm done, but this one I just wanted to make sure that I film the proper way to do this. So basically, when it starts getting tough to turn, you're probably at the end. So you want to make sure that you're in there nice and neat. Just to see where I'm at, I do have a little bit more to go. It looks like I'm touching on one side and not the other. So I just want to make sure that I'm on there nice. Trying to get you some light here, guys. So I'm just gonna have to eyeball this thing. But yeah. Almost there. Almost there. Might have to put the rest of that in with the hammer. But I'm checking all the sides here. Looks like I'm a little off. That's what's going on. So let me readjust and straighten this out. We are where we need to be with this. See where we're at. Going just a little bit more. Still looks like it's going. Looks like there's still some more space over here. And you just keep going till the ends meet. That's all you do. I'm probably going to stick the impact on here now because my vise doesn't like this. So, just going to shoot it on. Like we're going on pretty good here. The other side still has some room. So that's basically pressed in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap it in the rest of the way with the hammer, make sure it's in there nice and straight. Let's take this apart, see where we're at. It's actually not too bad. It's actually not too bad. Just gotta press it. I just gotta tap that in a little bit. I think once I do that, it'll tap in. So you're not gonna have to see that. Alright guys, just to show you. I ended up just using a breaker bar and continue with the press idea. I was gonna use a hammer, but I thought, no. So that's where we're at with it. You can see that the ends, I'm gonna get some light here. You see that the ends are meeting pretty nice there, and they're meeting pretty nice all the way around. So yeah, I think we're good. So just to show you the other ball joint, we got this one, and then this one is already ready to go. Unfortunately you can't see all the, but you can see under there. But yeah, ball joints are in, guys. Good to go. Actually, there may not be another video for a little bit. I'm waiting on parts. I needed a little bit more money, so I'm going to be doing some overtime just to make sure I have that covered. And basically, this whole suspension rebuild is going to be really nice, really worth it. So, yeah. So that's how you press in a ball joint, guys. I'll get back with you whenever I have something else. Later. Wrench Trench. Yeah, I'm on my couch. I'm sorry. But once you get the ball joint all pressed in, you just want to make sure that you put your lock ring back on. I almost finished filming without that. Make sure you put your lock ring back on. And the last thing you want to do after you install everything is pretty much put your bleed nipple, not your bleed nipple, but your grease nipple back on. Then you cover it with the rubber shielding, and then your lock nut, and then don't forget your locking pin. All right, so here, 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 and lock pin. All right, just wanted to show you that before I was out. Make sure that you do that, and then you're done. Your ball joint's done. All right.